Okay, so in part 14 of What is Egypt Hiding, we continue on with the idea of establishing a home, a domicile, a dwelling place, or an abode, right? And now from part 13, if you do remember, or if you have watched it, from part 13, I explain the concept of what a house is in ancient Egypt, and the word is Sukkot, represented by the consonants SKHT, and the word Sukkot in Hebrew is Sukkot, but in Swahili is Sokota. So those words that were used in ancient Egyptian to represent a house could be Sukkot or Sokota. All right. Now, in Swahili, of course, Sokota means to braid. It means to plait. It means to weave. It means to tuck. It's just the whole idea of weaving, right? Now, another word from which the word Sokota is derived from, the root word is suka. Suka means to braid. It means to plait. It means to move around. It means to wag, okay? Now, that word sukkah in ancient Hebrew, or in Hebrew basically, the word sukkah is the name for a hat. Do you see that? A hat, just one hat. Many is sukkot. Now, if you pay attention, look at the hat over there. These are African hats, okay, Bantu hats. If you look at the, should I say, the framework and even the technique that's been used, okay, they use thatch or grass, and they use yarn that's interwoven in to hold that thatch in place. So the idea of making a house primarily comes from the concept of what? Sukkah, to braid, to weave, okay, weaving. And you will see that, you can see the wafts, and then you can see the wefts. You see that? So again, its basic idea of making a house comes from the concept of plaiting or of weaving or of stitching. You know, just the whole idea of trying to create some kind of knotting so you produce a stronger material, right? Okay, now you will also observe that in some African homes as well, they will use mats, okay, meaning they're already woven, okay, and then they will place them on top together with, you know, other materials used to fortify, you know, that kind of hut. All right, that's why you will find that sukkah in Swahili means to braid. Sokota is the same thing. In Hebrew, sukkah is a hat, because the primary method used to make a hat is weaving or braiding, okay? And I'll show you an example of another hat yet again. Now, if you look at the hat up there, that is a Nilotic hat. I believe it's Nilotic, all right? I'm not sure, but it's a Nilotic or Cushitic hat. Guys, I can't remember, but it's a nomadic hat, all right? This is suitable because nomads will move from place to place looking for pasture. So when it's time to move, what do? You roll up your mats, okay? And the rest can just be left there. So do you see? It kind of looks like a mat, but the mat in itself has string that's made of some kind of stalk or stem, okay? Like in my culture, we have mats like that, and in Ekegusi, it's called richambe, especially even the one there that's used to close the door. It's stalks and stems that are usually interwoven with some yarn to make, you know, the basic structure or wall for, you know, a hut or an abode, right? Okay, now, please understand also that in the same spirit, the concept of weaving is usually more attributed to women than it is to men. You know, the idea of making baskets, the idea of making mats, but it's not limited to just men, but primarily it's women that would weave, you know, and make, you know, the baskets and the carpets and the mats, right? Now, also remember that African men did also braid their hair, okay? And the men braided the men, the women braided the women, more often than not. You see that? Now, unless a child has not undergone through the stages of puberty, you'll find a mother braiding her son. Okay? Now, in the same spirit that you see that, the idea of weaving, of making, of braiding, the idea of making a carpet or a mat, which is just a basic structure for making a hat or a temporary shelter, you will see that the same rendition is seen within the other Egyptian name for a house. And what is the other Egyptian name for a house? Okay, here, give me a second and I'll show you. All right, now let's go to the other name. Remember the last time the other name we discussed was Sukkot, all right, or Sokkota in ancient Egypt, the name for a house, which is parallel to the Hebrew name Sukkot for what is a name for boots or hats. Okay, all right, now here's the next word. Ba-da-da-dum. Here we go. Now, if you look at that, that is a book by Fergus Sherman. I've been using it more often than not. And the book, of course, is Linguistic Ties Between Ancient Egyptian and Bantu. So you can look that up, all right? Now, look at the name for a house. Look at that, guys. The name is what? Baiti. Bait, okay? Bait is the name, the ancient Egyptian name for a house, all right? In Swahili, just as Fergus Sherman here so aptly puts it, in Swahili Bantu, the other name for a house is Baiti. Okay, so we have two so far. There could be more, to be honest, there are more. Because you have the concept of Sekini, Maskan, you have the concept of Nyumba, but also Baiti is the name for a house. All right? And in ancient Egyptian, the name for a house is what? Bait. All right. Now, where else do we see this word bite appearing? Okay? Hang on a second. Now, let's look at another author, Dr. Theophile Obenga, in his book, Ancient Egypt and Black Africa. You will see that he does give down the names for a house, okay, in various languages. Look at the other word for a house. Look, Hebrew, bayit, which is so ancient Egyptian is bait, right? Then you see South Arabic, it's bait. Then Arabic, it's bait. All right, and we'll skip Berber because I don't see a connection here. Now, from just those, look at those three words, okay? You see Hebrew, you see South Arabic, and you see Arabic. Bite, bait, bite. All right? Very similar to ancient Egyptian what? Bait. Okay? And this is where you have these descendants of invaders sitting down there and saying it's their culture just because a word like this might be parallel. Now, I have news for you. In Ekegusi Bantu, my own language that I speak, all right, the word bite means what? Members of the household.